there is another important word that I want you to write down, and it's the same word as pitch. And in music, okay, we have what is called a tone, T-O-N-E, all right? And tone is a sound with definite pitch, okay? For example, if I throw this paper clip on the piano, it does not have a definite pitch, okay? But when I put my finger down on the piano, it does have a definite pitch. The note that I chose was G, okay? So a tone is a sound with definite pitch, okay? Definite pitch. Now, the next important word we need to know is interval, interval. And this gets confusing. A lot of people get this wrong, even the most seasoned musician. An interval is the space between pitches. The space between pitches, not the time. We're not in time here, we're in sound. So this is important. I'm going to use this word a lot when we talk about an opera singer. Listen to her jump this interval. Listen to that. That's very difficult. And so we will see this word quite a lot. It means distance between pitches. Now, can you follow me over here, Mr. Cameraman? Okay, thank you. Right here, what you're looking at is a slice of the keyboard. Okay? This happens to be C. Now, if I go up to C to E, that's the interval of a third. And a third sounds like this. C to E. It is simply counting up 1, 2, 3 and playing 1, 3. That's called a third. All right? If you count up 4 from this note, 1, 2, 3, 4, C to F, count up 4, it's the interval of a fourth. And it sounds like this. Very open. Here's the interval of a fifth. Very open. We're going to be looking at fifths pretty shortly in our chronological history. What about this? What is that? And B, C, right? And B, C. That's the interval of a sixth. And you know, all of us who have been through music school, I happen to have a doctorate in music, and I had a hard time with this. All this ear training, figuring out intervals, and the only way I could do it was to put a song on it. And thank God NBC was a sixth, because they're very hard to hear. Okay? Interval of a seventh. C, D, E, F, G, A. Ooh, that's a little different. Listen to the fifth again. Here's the seventh. Dissonant. And that's always going to lead to this. Ah, there we go. Dissonant, but oh, our ears become very out of breath, and then all of a sudden we resolve. And so, you see, these are intervals, space between pitches. The most fundamental interval, and the one I'll be talking about quite a bit when we talk about instruments, when we talk about sopranos, is the octave. The octave. Okay? The octave. When tones are separated by the interval of an octave, right, they are separated by how many tones? I bet you all can figure it out, even if you didn't know. Oct means what? Very good. So, if you take the piano, C, octave up 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 C. Okay? Piano, basically 7-octave range. String instruments are going to have, you know, of course, not as much. We run out of notes. You know, there's a lot of notes there. And string players run out of notes. The untrained voice, which, as you'll find out very quickly, is mine, has about the interval of an octave and a half. All right? So sometime when you're in the shower, just see what kind of a trained voice you have. La, 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 right? And scare your children. Okay. Now, another property of sound that becomes very important, I'm not going to talk about it for a while, dynamics. And here we go with those easy definitions. Levels of soft and loud. Levels of soft and loud. These will not be in full use until, basically, until Bach. I mean, we're not going to see them. We don't have a lot of direction in music for a long time. Levels of loud and soft. We have to know, part of our organization is how loud or how soft to play. In music, we use Italian terms. And that's, of course, up until the crazy, all the nationalism breaks out. I'm not going to use Italian. I don't like the Italians. I'm not going to use French. I don't like them either. No wonder World War I is coming up, I mean, so you're going to see people using another language. And so we musicians have to kind of know a lot of these languages. I mean, it can get very complicated, especially if you're a conductor. I mean, you have to get all the directions right. So if it's in Russian, oops, in trouble. So we use Italian. That's how it's going to start, because all of Europe looked to Italy when this terminology first came into use. The Italians really knew what they were doing, certainly in the world of opera, because they created it. Don't ever, say to an Italian, well, the French wrote opera. They composed opera. No, they didn't, is what they'll tell you. Okay? And so we look to the Italians quite a bit during this course. So our point of departure for soft is called piano. Everybody say that, piano. Not piano, right? Piano. Okay? And the point of departure for loud is called forte. Okay? Forte. And then, of course, we're going to get a little complicated here. And we're going to talk about mezzo, which means middle. And so when you're reading along, music, reading along, and you see M, F, ooh, that's a tough one. Mezzo, forte. It's a little softer than forte. Mezzo piano, little louder than piano. So these are gradations, all right? These are gradations, and it's very important that you know this. The two others that I want you to know, and please know that there are many, but the others that I think are important that I'll be talking about quite a bit are crescendo and diminuendo. I'm sure, even if you can't read Italian, that you could figure this one out, right? Diminuendo, diminish, right? Crescendo, get louder. These are all words we use pretty much in the English language, right? So gradually get louder and gradually get softer. Whether the pitch is loud or whether the pitch is soft, high or low, musical sounds differ in general quality depending on the instrument or voice. And that's a little complex, but this is the true beauty of music, and it's called tone color. Every one of us in this room have a different tone color to their voice. Every one of the instruments of the orchestra, the violin as opposed to the trombone, they differ in tone color because they're different instruments. We're going to be talking about this quite a bit. Tone color simply means tone quality. Tone quality. And there's another word for this that you might have heard, and it's called timbre. Not timber, timbre, T-I-M-B-R-E, timbre. And so, if you listen to, you up there, ma'am, what's your name? Drinking the soda. What? Her name is Alicia. Alicia, how old are you? She's 11 years old. Okay. Alicia, this is just to prove a point. Alicia, are you scared now? You're on TV, huh? Atta girl. Okay. If you heard, have you ever heard the sound of a flute? Have you? Okay. What color would you associate with the sound of a flute? Your answer cannot be wrong because it's yours. What color do you think? You hear that high, high pitch. What color? Anything. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? You don't know. You don't know. Okay, that's not a color. What? What did you say? Yellow. Yes. Okay, can I try it one more time? Would that be okay? If you hear this, have you ever heard the sound of a bass? Have you? Okay, what color comes to your mind when you hear the sound of a bass? Gray. I like it. I like it. Real middle there. Like it a lot. Okay, what about the sound of a trombone?
I probably hear white because I don't like the trombone.
You hear white because you don't like, okay. Now we're getting into Fortean things I don't want to get into. All right. See, I should stick with the children. All right, now. Thanks. Okay, so tone color. Now, this is a vague term for the difference between a violin and a trombone. What an interesting tone color it makes, though, when you combine the trombone, which this girl doesn't like right here, all trombone players, combine the trombone and the violin together. You get something totally different. And that's the beauty of what a composer gets to do. An entire palette of colors, and then you put them together. And so we're going to talk about color. And then you take the artist who paints what he hears, you know? And so you have this really interesting overlap. So tone color is something we're going to be looking at quite a bit. Okay, now, what's next? What's next? Bright, mellow, yeah, okay. Rhythm. The lifeblood of music. Rhythm. We're going to look at very closely the actual organization of rhythm. Okay, and a lot of you, we're still on stuff that you already know. Okay, rhythm. That's something we need in music. If we don't have it, we really don't have music. And some of you will certainly say, I don't hear any rhythm in this piece of music, even though it's there. First of all, the most important definition you have in regards to rhythm is called beat. B-E-A-T. And beat simply means recurrent pulse, okay? Recurrent pulse. Clock time, a clock is measured in seconds. Musical time in beats, okay? A clock is measured in seconds. In musical time, we have beats. As a matter of fact, the metronomic equivalent to a clock is 60. Oh, gee. Right? 60 beats per second. Somebody figured out that we musicians needed a metronome. You've all probably seen, you know, one of those sometime in your life. It's something I very often want to throw against the wall. Rhythm is very important. Beat, very important. Recurrent pulse. And it's just like your heart, people. If you don't have it, you don't have music. Just like if you don't have your pulse, you aren't alive. So next, we have something a little bit more complicated. And again, we are not going to be complicated about this. And so what we have to organize these beats. And this is something that makes music very interesting. We have to organize beats, organize them. We organize beats with meters, M-E-T-E-R. And the definition is organized patterns of beats. Now, you all have done this before, I'm sure. You all know this. When you're listening to rock and roll, I guarantee you, you're going to hear duple. What does duple mean? 2 or 4, right? Or 8, right? Duple. Some division of duple. Somebody please bring me a rock song in 3. Okay? So our points of departure are very simple with meter. Very simple. They're going to get complicated as we get into the 20th century. Oh my goodness, are they? But duple meter and triple meter are our points of departure with these organized patterns of beats. Okay? Now, when you think of something in duple meter, what do you think about? What's in a duple? What's just a real common thing with duple meter? Dun, 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 dun. What is that? It's a march. March duple. Conductors conduct 1, 2, 1, 2. We have a strong beat and a weak beat. The up is weak. 1, 2. 1 is strong. I also had a conductor say 1 is down. Watchnik, 1 is down. Where's 1? It is down. Okay? Now, the other place we're going is triple. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, when we think of triple meter, what do we think about? A? Very good. Anybody want to dance with me to prove that? Oh, guy in a red shirt. Please don't pick on me again. I did it already with opera. Please, don't dance with me. A waltz. A waltz is in triple meter. 1, 2, 3. 1, weak, weak, 1. Okay? And so these are the meters we're going to be dealing with. But it's going to be very interesting in this course to see that first movement of the Mozart Forte in G minor, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, forever. 20 minutes of this. Great music surrounding it. And then there's going to be Stravinsky coming down the pike. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And it's mesmerizing. So we're going to see the development of rhythm and how rhythm is going to change. It's going to be so different by the time we get to the 20th century. So, in each measure, that's our block off, in each measure we have a fixed number of beats, okay, according to the meter of the piece. And each measure covers the same time span, okay? And so we musicians, that's how we read. And those of you who have ever been in a choir or have ever been around music, you know what I'm talking about. But this is very general, and I'm not going any further with this other than to point interesting things out about rhythm as we listen. And an interesting thing that I will point out, and one thing that makes us get up and dance, is called syncopation. Syncopation, an unexpected accent. This is a very characteristic feature of jazz, right? It's an unexpected accent. That's the kind of stuff that just makes our bodies move, or it just makes our head move, like reggae. That's reggae, and you'd see people dancing around like this, right? It's very syncopated, syncopation. Okay? Now, one very important definition that we still need to cover in terms of rhythm and time is tempo. T-E-M-P-O, tempo. Tempo. Levels of fast and slow. It is the speed or the pace of music. The speed or the pace of music. And here we go, back to the Italians, because just as we looked at dynamics in relation to the Italians, we're going to do the same thing with tempo markings. And these will take quite some time to develop as well. Some points of departure here. Allegro. Allegro means moderately fast. Presto means what? Very fast. Now, if I say to you, even though, Alicia, if I say the word vivacissimo, would you think that was a very slow tempo or a very fast tempo? There you go. Okay? It's a fast tempo. So a lot of the time, we can figure this out, right? Presto, vivace, adagio, lento, grave, right? But then composers are going to start to get really inventive, like Brahms, allegro religioso. What is that? A religious allegro? Oh, I'm so confused. I have to have these different emotions when I'm playing moderately fast. You see, and what's so difficult is, when you talk about something that's an allegro and it's moderately fast, well, how fast is moderately fast? And so as a musician, you're really putting yourself on the line with tempo. And as a conductor, you're really putting yourself on the line, trying to figure out what these composers are doing. And we're not going to get directions for a while. Baroque music is some of the hardest music to play out there into the open world, because we don't have much direction. So you have to make up your own direction. And quite often critics will just say, didn't like that, And so you constantly have to put yourself out there. Okay, let's look at, I think there's some others. Example of tempo. Grave, very slow, solemn. Adagio, very slow. There are two other words we're missing here, and I will put them in for you. The first one, excel. Okay, accelerando, and the other one is retardando. And I'm putting the abbreviations. It's easier because it's fairly straightforward. Excel means to what? Speed up, right? Retardando simply means to slow down. Okay, and so if I say the word retard, that simply means that the music is going to be slowing down. Okay, so those are two other little tempo markings that I want you to remember, because I will be talking about them. Okay, all right, next we have melody. Melody. Probably the most important part of music. Music, to most of us, I would think, means melody. Right? Music means melody. Melodies have shape, they have direction, they have continuity. That's what attracts us immediately to melody. They have phrases. If you don't talk in phrases, it's very boring. Our voices are very melodic. And so melodies have phrases. They have starts and stops and endings, just like punctuation. As a matter of fact, we use punctuation to describe something that ends, like a period. That would end a sentence. Well, it would also end a musical phrase as well. So melody needs to be defined and talked about, certainly. And since we're calling music organized sound, let's call melody an organized tune. And here's where I basically get very simple with this, because as I progress with talking about melody, I have to bring in other things like key and central tone and things like that. So a lot of you know a lot more than what I'm about to talk about, okay? But in my own little way, I'm going to talk about melody, key, central tone in a very, very easy way.